Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. On the occasion of his enlightenment, 36,000 crores Vajira Jnana, that means the knowledge arose with enlightenment. So, we as truth seekers, enlightenment seekers, if not to the supremely enlightened Buddha, where else we have to go? We have to go to the Buddha for refuge. The word meaning of the Buddha is Bujjitar. Bujjitar means one who discovers. So Bujjitar means one who discovers. And Bodhetar, one who enunciates. One who discovers the ultimate truths and one who is able to teach it. So Bujjasi, Bujji, that means he discovered, and Bodhesi, and he taught. So these are the two very root words because of which he is called Buddha. By discovery, he becomes awakened one. Awakened. Bodhesi, then he awakens others. That's why he is called Buddha. So Buddha is a title which is earned by reaching that goal. Just like when you fulfill your medicine studies and then you are called a doctor. In the same way, a person who becomes Bodhisattva, and having become Bodhisattva, he fulfills the paramis 3 times over, and then he discovers the Four Noble Truths, and then he teaches. He is awakened himself and he awakens others. That person is Buddha. So these Pali roots, the word roots, are very, very profound. So today I am asked to tell you about the Dona Sutta, and based on Dona Sutta, we will also know about the Buddha. In Dona Sutta, it is very interesting incident. Once Lord Buddha was traveling between Ukkatta and Setavya. As the Buddha was going, that was the highway, and as he walked, In the same highway, one Brahmin called Dona was also traveling. When he was traveling, he saw the footprints of the Buddha. And these footprints were not normal footprints. The Buddha's footprint was extraordinary because he had very special mark. On his footprint there was chakra, the wheel with spokes, very clear. Now, why did Buddha had this wheel on his feet? You can learn in Lakhana Sutta in Digha Nikaya. There were 32 major lakshanas on his body and 80 minor lakshanas. All these features, they came because mind and body are related. Our mind influences the body and the body influences our mind. So now it is the Samma Sambuddha's body. Surely it had these very special qualities. That itself will be another study of Lakhana Sutta. You can read. Anyway, this chakra, it was the result, the consequence of living for all kinds of beings for their happiness. The Bodhisattva, as he was practicing the paramis, developing good qualities. Paramis means the 10 good qualities. That was for the entire universe. Entire Chakravala, entire universe. He was having immense compassion, and for countless lives he sacrificed for the welfare, and ultimately he became Samma Sambuddha. So that chakra on his feet was that had appeared because of his paramis, dispelling fear and terror. That is what he has spread all throughout the universe, dispelling fear and terror, providing lawful protection and shelter, and supplying all necessities. So these were the reasons why he got this lakshana of the chakra. So now Dona, this Brahmin Dona, was a bit expert in reading the marks, body marks. So when he saw these footprints, he was so excited. Wow, this I have only read and heard, but I had never seen such footprints. That such a footprint appears means this is not an ordinary living being. So then he starts following that footprint. Meanwhile, the Buddha knew. So he walked out of the highway and he was sitting under a tree. So this Brahmin Dona comes to the Buddha and he, tracking the Buddha's footprint, he comes to the Buddha, and he was sitting with such grace and inspiring confidence, peaceful faculties. This is what Dona saw. The Buddha was so graceful, inspiring confidence, with peaceful faculties and peaceful mind, one who had attained to the highest taming and serenity, like a tamed and guarded bull elephant with controlled faculties. So this is how the Buddha appeared to Dona. So Dona approached the Blessed One and said, Sir, are you a Deva? The Buddha replied, no, Brahmin, I am not a Deva. Then he said, oh, Venerable Sir, are you a Gandhabha? Gandhabhas are celestial musician beings. He said, no, I am not Gandhabha. Are you a Yaksha? He said, the Buddha said, no, I am not Yaksha. Oh, Venerable Sir, then are you a human being? He said, no, Brahmin, I am not a human being either. Then this Brahmin, Yodona, was so surprised and he said, oh, Venerable Sir, when I asked you, are you a Deva? You said no. Are you Gandhabha? You said no. Are you Yaksha? You said no. And at last I asked you, are you a human being? You said no. Then who are you? Then the Buddha replies, this is very important for us to understand the nature of the Buddha. He says, oh Brahmin, I have abandoned all those asavas. Asavas means underlying currents of defilements, of attachments, of ignorance, of craving. These are asavas. Kamasava, bhavasava. Kamasava means sense attachment to this greed for this sense desires. Bhavasava, attachment to different kinds of existence, different kinds of states of living. Avijjasava, ditthasava, different viewpoints, attachment, very strong attachment and rolling in that. These asava is like something, the pus. When there is a wound filled up with pus and just it oozes out. Like that from the mind, these defilements keep on oozing. And avijja, ignorance. Now these are the very fundamental ones because of which different kinds of defilements arise, different kinds of kammas we do. All the source of all that is these asavas. So the Buddha says, I have abandoned those asavas, those taint, those cankers, because of which I might have become a Deva. So you can see, all the asavas that condition one to become a Deva, all they are abandoned. I have cut them off at the root. That means not even a trace is remaining. Not even little bit of attachment, little bit of inclination, that condition is not there. I have made them like palm stumps. If there is a palm tree, like coconut tree or such trees, palm trees, if you cut it, then it will not sprout again. It is gone. So in the same way, it is totally cut off. The Buddha's words, I have obliterated them so that they are no longer subject to future arising. You see, they will never come again. In such a way, I have removed them. So you can see, all those things that take, he says, that take to different levels of devas, that I have removed. So the same thing he repeats for, I have abandoned the taints by which I would have become a Gandhabha. Those taints are gone. They are totally removed, made like stump. So also that which take us to yakha life, or that which will bring us to human. The Buddha says those taints, those asavas which will give rise, birth in human life, that is all gone. I have cut them off as the root and made them like palm stumps, obliterated them so that they are no longer subject to future arising. And then further, the Buddha says, he was born as human being, no doubt. He had body like us with 2 legs, 2 arms and head and eyes. But mind was not human. No more human. It was Buddha mind, Samma Sambodhi mind. The way you and I see at these things, the Buddha will not see like that. The Buddha will see through Buddha eye with different understanding, different level of knowing the truth of everything, seeing, hearing the entire world, and surely more than us. So the Buddha says further, just as a blue, red or white lotus flower, though born in the water and grown up in the muddy water, these lotus flowers, they are born in water, they grow up from this water, rises above the water and stands unsoiled by the water. So these lotus, they are born in this water. When they come up, the lotus shines unsoiled, untouched by the water. Even so, though born in the Word and grown up in the Word, I have overcome the Word and dwell unsoiled by the Word. Remember me, O Brahmin, as Buddha. Okay? That is the definition. The Buddha says. He belongs to none of these existential beings. Because the mind is not like that. The mind is that of Buddha, that just like lotus has gone beyond. Similarly, the Buddha's mind has gone beyond all the 3 lokas, Kama Loka, Rupa Loka and Arupa Loka. Is it clear? Any doubts about this? So you can't put the Buddha as human being because his mind is no more human being. You can't make him a Deva or Brahma or Yaksha or Gandharva or any. So the Buddha says, the same thing the Buddha repeats in Gatha. I have destroyed those taints by which I might have been reborn as a Deva or as a Gandharva that travels through the sky, by which I might have reached the state of a Yakha or arrived back at the human state. I have despaired and cut down all these taints. As a lovely white lotus is not soiled by the water, I am not soiled by the word. Therefore, O Brahmin, I am a Buddha. So this is the definition. This is the clear understanding we should have about who is a Buddha. It is not because somebody said, oh, he is Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. No. He has reached that summit state of liberation. So in another incident, it is exactly the same one. It was told to Upaka. After his enlightenment, the Buddha was going to Sarnath to give the first teaching. Yesterday we celebrated that first teaching, Dhammacakkappavattana. On the way, he meets this one ascetic Upaka. And Upaka, when he sees, he was also so surprised. He also asked the same question. Oh friend, your eyes and ear, nose, tongue, body and mind are so clear. Your complexion is so bright. You look so clean and radiant. Oh, my friend, Under which teacher you have gone for refuge? Who is your teacher? What is the teaching? Who are you? So the Buddha says, Sabba bibhu sabba vidu ahang asming sabbesu dhammesu anupalitto sabbang jaho tannakhaye vimutto sayang abhinyaya kang uddisayang na me acharyo atti sadiso me na vijjati Sadevakasming lokasming nathime patipuggalo. So the Buddha said, I have mastered all the dhammas in the 3 words and possess perfect and complete knowledge of them all. I am one who is free from all kilesas, all taints, asavas. And I have abandoned all the dhammas, that which are with tanha, that which take to different planes. Well, I am established in Nibbana, and I am one who has penetrated all the dhammas by myself without being taught by others. Whom should I point out saying, this is my teacher? In fact, there is none. Huh? Name acharyoti sadiso me na vijjati. Oh Upaka, for me there is no teacher. And there is even no one who is my equivalent. So not to speak of a teacher superior to me. There is no one in the world of sentient beings, including devas, who can represent me in respect of such qualities as Shila, Samadhi and Panya. Ahang hi araha loke, ahang sattha anuttaro, ekom hi samma sambuddho, siti bhuto sming nibbuto. O Upaka, I am indeed the Arhant in the word, one deserving of special veneration. I am also the incomparable and most excellent teacher of the humans and devas in the world, since I can discern with Sayambhu Jnana. Samma Sambuddha, they are endowed with this Sayambhu Jnana. All the dhammas without perversion, without distortion, perversion, clearly as they are, that I can understand. I am the supremely self-enlightened one. I am also one who has extinguished the fire of kilesa, nibbuto, all siti bhuto, all fires are extinguished. Dhamma chakkang pavattetum gacchami kasinang purang andhibhutasming lokasming ahang chang amata dundubhing. I will go to Isipatana Deer Park, near Varanasi in Kasi country, Kasipurang. Gacchami Kasinang Purang. To set in motion the wheel of Dhamma. Dhamma chakkang pavattetum. To set in motion the wheel of Dhamma, I am going to Kasipura. I will beat the large drum of deathless for all devas and humans. Amata Dundubing, Amata Amrit, deathlessness, Dundubi, the drum. I am going to beat the drum of deathlessness for the devas and humans. The people who are in Andhibhutasming lokasming, those who are groping in darkness. Andhibhuta, blinded. You see? What a statement the Buddha is making. Madisave jina honti E patta asavakhayang jita me papaka dhamma tasma ahang upaka jino. The Buddhas are the same nature like myself, are named conquerors. They are called jina, conquerors, victors, since they have attained the Arhanta Magga. The extinction of the four asavas and got rid of unwholesome factors. I am also known by the name of Jina. Like all the Buddhas, I have attained the knowledge of the extinction of asavakhaya and abandoned akusala dhammas. So that is what the Buddha told him, I am Jina. Huh? So here you can see again the clear definition of the Buddha. What is his attainment? So one is his attainment of the summit state of enlightenment, that which is beyond all the levels of Kamaloka, Rupaloka and Arupaloka, that which is beyond all taints. Always he is emphasizing on taints, defilements. So that he has removed. And Buddha as awakener, Bodhetar, as we have learned. One part is he enlightened himself by this highest wisdom. And the other part is he enlightened others. He awakens others out of immeasurable compassion. So the mission of Buddha is twofold. One is to become self-enlightened when the whole world is in darkness, because at that time there will be nobody to guide. So he has to put effort and find out his own way. Just like, say there is forest, and deep inside the forest there is beautiful city and palace. And for a long time, a huge forest has grown around, and nobody knows that there is such beautiful palace there. Somebody starts searching the way, overcoming all the difficulties, and reaches that beautiful city, and then comes back and tells people, come, here is this beautiful city where you have no suffering. So that is the example the Buddha had given. So he is the finder, truth finder, discoverer on his own first time. And then he brings others, he makes others. That is out of compassion. So these two tasks he has fulfilled completely, totally, in a very perfect way. So that is Buddha. That is the meaning of the Buddha. So when he became Buddha, all these qualities which we did in meditation, all those qualities have come. They arose. So here I conclude today's topic, the nature of the Buddha, based on Dona Sutta and this Upaka Sutta. We have just very few minutes. Pankajji, we will take only 2 or 3 questions. 11:15, we have to close.
Yes, Bhante. Yes, Bhante. So I have opened up the chat for everybody. So you can put in your message in the chat window. Bhante, couple of questions which are coming up. There is, what is the word Jina means?
The word?
Jina.
Jina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jina. Jina, as I said, Jina means victory. One who overcomes. Jeet jata hai na? We also tell Jayati. That means one who gets Jaya. one who gets victory. So the Buddha got victory over all defilements. That's why he became Jina. He became Ananta Jina. All kinds of entire universe, all kinds of things that can put him one down, all that he has overcome. So you see, when he became Jina, he put this word into Upaka's mind. Later on, Upaka, who was an ascetic, and he goes and then he falls in love with one girl, daughter of a hunter. And then he marries, and then they bear a child. And he was not a hunter, and he was not able to do any work. He became like a coolie, carrying the dead animals and like that in this hunters group. So his wife used to ridicule him, saying that he is of no use, useless fellow. She used to sing lullabies to her child, saying that your useless father is just carrying this and that like that. So he was so disgusted and felt insulted. Then he remembered, oh, there is a person called Jina. He had told me on the way to Banaras. Suddenly he remembered. And then he left home. He said, I am going in search of Jina. So then he goes and he arrives in Savatthi, and he becomes monk. He becomes Anagami, and he dies, and he's born in Suddhavasa. There he becomes Arahant. Now here you can see two things. One is the Buddha as enlightened himself, and how he is enlightener. How the Buddha knew that right now he will not understand anything, because when the Buddha told he is not Gandhabba or human or this and that time, Jina, one who has destroyed Asava, that ascetic Upaka just shook his head saying, oh, what he's saying, I can't understand. He took by road at that time. But that seed was sown in the mind of Upaka. Now the Buddhas do this. Those who are fully matured, they give such tips that they become arhants then and there, or anagami, sagdagami, like that. Some people will need bigger lessons, they become transformed. Some people need long discourses, different kinds of discourses, stories, analysis, gathas, so many different. And for many, they've just put the seed. They have sown the seed. So later on, they become enlightened. Not only Upaka, the Buddha had another target. His wife Chapa, this hunter's daughter girl who married Upaka. When Upaka says, I have heard the name of Jina, somebody is there, Jina, I am going there, bye-bye. Now this lady kept that word, oh Jina, there is a victor in this word who has arisen. So after her husband left, she then gives that child to the care of her father and family, and she also says, I will also go in search of truth. So she also eventually comes to Savatthi and becomes Bhikshuni and becomes Arhant, great Chapa Theri. Now look at this, how the supremely enlightened Buddha is able to see through deeply. That is the role of the Samyak Sambuddhas. Yes, one more question, please.
Bhante, the next question is related to the enlightenment. People are asking, is enlightenment absolute, or there would be different perspective, different people will look at it differently? What does enlightenment mean?
The enlightenment, the state of Nibbana which is experienced by all Arhants, is same. whether it is Arhants or Pacceka Buddhas or the Samma Sambuddhas. The state of Nibbana, the state of liberation, the state of freedom from this Dukkha Chakra, Bhava Chakra is same. The faculties, the abilities they have developed are different. Now, Samma Sambuddhas are able to discover for themselves and teach others. Whereas Pacceka Buddhas are able to discover for themselves, they are not able to teach others. And whereas Arhanta Buddhas are not able to discover themselves, they need the Buddha's teaching. And once they hear the Buddha's teaching, they will become enlightened. So this is the difference, not in the state of enlightenment, but in the state of how they achieve it and how they use it and how they help others. And when somebody becomes Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Anagami, with still certain defilements remaining, their enlightenment, it is like seeing the, say, Himalayan, one mountain from far distance. You have already seen the mountain, but it is from far distance. You go nearer and see the same mountain with much more clarity. You go even more nearer, just at the say foot of the mountain. You know even more. But when you climb and stand on the summit, you know everything. So similarly, we can say Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Anagami, they have also experienced Nibbana, but not with that purity as the Arhants do, that with complete purity. So this is the explanation we can give.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
One more.
One more, Bhante. So this would be the last one, Bhante, then. There is a question related to Buddha's qualities. It is said that they are immeasurable, and people wants to know what does it mean.
What is in?
Buddha's qualities are immeasurable. What does it mean?
Immeasurable in the sense, now, for example, take in the sphere of living beings. How many living beings we know? We know at the most human beings. We know some animals, some birds. We don't even know there are so many species of beings which are there on this earth itself or in water or here and there. But still, whatever we know is quite, research is done and so many research papers are written. But is it the end of living beings? No. On this earth itself, there are so many living beings which we don't know. And what to talk of the beings which we cannot see with our eyes. All the beings we have researched are seen through our eyes or with microscope and this machine or that machine. What to talk of other beings still unexplored. Now that is the range of Buddha's understanding. Now just imagine, forget the earth. What about other planets, other galaxies? Just in the field of living beings, you can see how the knowledge of Buddha can expand and expand and expand. It becomes immeasurable. In our calculation, in human calculation, you cannot even measure in terms of space or in terms of time. How much you can remember. You can remember today, yesterday, day before yesterday, last year, when you were a small child, that's all. Not beyond, say, 5 or 3 years. Some people may remember little earlier. But what about, can you remember what happened in the womb when you were in the womb? No. Can you remember your past life? No. Past life? No. Whereas the Buddha can remember infinite past of himself and even other beings. No, now this is immeasurable. how much knowledge you have about impermanence. You will be saying, okay, I am impermanent, I become old and die. I see this thing, that thing broken and gone. So impermanence, understanding impermanence at the subtlest level, micro level, macro level. What is the range of the Buddha? That is immeasurable. So that is immeasurable.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Sadhu for the discourse today, Bhante.
Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sutti bhavantu te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.